Okay, we are reading from Book 4, Kavaila Pada, portion on absoluteness. Book 4 has the heading Kavaya Pada, or the portion that talks about absoluteness. The root of Kavaya is Kavala, which means without qualities or conditions, that which is cosmic. The one who has the quality of Kavala is called Kavalya, I think, Kavalya. It's an experience of absoluteness, absoluteness, unlimitedness. Note on books 3 and 4. It says, I have translated all of the sutras of book 3 and 4. However, I have chosen not to comment on them all. I have taken the ones I have found most useful for the understanding of yoga aspirants and have left out the others. Those readers who wish to study more about sutras that have no commentaries here can consult one of the books on the Yoga Sutras listed in the selected reading. So I did look at the Carrera translations, and there is a little bit, so I'll read them both. So Book 4, Sutra 1, is siddhis are born of practices performed in previous births or by herbs, mantra, repetition, asceticism, or by samadhi. Patanjali begins this book by reviewing the methods by which the siddhis can be obtained by the yoga practitioner. Some people attain the siddhis without even doing any practices in this life. They don't know what they did to have these kinds of powers. That is proof that they have done something in their past lives to merit such powers in this one. He also gives us some clues about the people who get some experiences through their LSD and marijuana. The so-called grass is a herb, is it not? Mushrooms could be considered also.
Okay.
That would be Ram Dass, right?
Yeah.
He used it at least to begin with. Or siddhis come by the practice of mantra japa or by asceticism. Asceticism or tapas means keep accepting suffering willingly, thus exercising your willpower and gaining control over the mind. And finally, Patanjali says that the siddhis can come through samadhi, gained through the proper procedure of concentration and meditation. So there are various ways of accomplishing the psychic powers, but normally it is recognized that all the others except samadhi are not natural. For example, using herbs means inducing siddhis by the use of certain external stimuli. It is not an organic siddhi. It may come and then fade away. So siddhis should come in the regular process of yoga, not through external stimuli. So, I suppose from reading a little bit of Ram Dass, though, it gave him the understanding of what it would be like, which led him to pursue it more naturally. I'll just read Carrera's translation of the first sutra, or interpretation rather. Before moving on to new topics, Sri Patanjali briefly summarizes the various means given in the last pada for attaining the siddhis. First, previous births. God has not arbitrarily given gifts to people who are born with siddhis. They put forth efforts in previous births and are now experiencing the fruits of their labors. Herbs. There are and have always been those who seek a chemical shortcut to spiritual achievements. Mantra repetition. Although the concentrated repetition of any mantra can bring siddhis as a side effect, this sutra is probably referring to the use of mantras that are meant to produce specific results. There are mantras that can heal, manifest certain events or objects, or bring many other siddhis. Asceticism. Am I saying that word right?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Those who willingly accept suffering and engage in a rigorous course of spiritual practices develop great mental strength and may experience siddhis as an outcome of their disciplines. And samadhi. Through the stillness, depth, and purity of samadhi, the siddhis may also come. The main teaching is that siddhis should not be the goal. In an impure mind, siddhis can feed the ego. However, if they come as a natural byproduct of a selfless, dedicated practice, they will have manifested when it is natural and beneficial for them to do so. The next two sutras deal with the evolution through reincarnation. So, do you want to add anything to Sutra 1? I think it's kind of like reviewing a little bit of what we'd already talked about.
I'm glad he reviews.
Yeah.
And the only thing I wanted to say is it's an interesting discussion about chemicals versus basically doing the work. Because chemicals are kind of a shortcut. And back in the day, I did my fair share of hallucinogenic drugs and had my fair share of experiences, which really did not stay with me except for certain memories about them. But in terms of the impact that helps you to grow, it really didn't stay with me. And then of course, I have 3 kids who went through their teenage years and college years. 2 of the 3 did hallucinogenics. And I used to have a conversation with the youngest, and he was furious when I said, it doesn't stay. This doesn't stay. And he was, now he's a mathematician, he was a musician. And he did remind me that the music that came out of the late 60s and early 70s, much of which was heavily influenced by, the hallucinogens that everybody was doing then, is still with us and really has a major impact. So
that's true.
It's not a sidebar. It's not a small thing. I mean, music is such an integral part of your body and of life,
Yeah.
So that's all I want to say. I don't want to drag that out.
That's interesting, though.
Yeah. He's about to become a father.
Oh,
I don't think he's doing hallucinogens anymore. I think that's stopped.
Well, he'll have a different kind of high.
Yes, he'll see what sleeplessness does to the mind, Joe. See how that works for you.
Yes, I see how that plays with your brain.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, I don't know all the science behind the brain enough to really say this with fact, but I would imagine that a drug is affecting more of a surface layer of the brain, whereas the work we're doing is affecting where it's creating an illusion of where we want to go versus the work we're actually doing, which is creating some scar of where we actually want to go. And I guess you could say, if you were to photograph me in my 20s, you would capture me in my, there are blips here and there now too, but majority of my 20s, it was just a big party. Not drugs, but alcohol. And you could capture me in that moment and I'd have the photograph to remember it by. And I guess the same could be said for the music, where it was captured in the present moment and it's just another memory from it. Because, I don't know. It's not once they stopped doing them, they could continue on with that type of music. It was once the drugs stopped, the music stopped. Maybe. I don't know.
But it didn't. A lot of those guys got clean and kept on making great music.
Oh, then that's fair.
And there's There was a group called Blind Faith, which was around for about 3 minutes, although it was composed of all famous guys. And they have a song called In the Presence of the Lord. And after I started doing yoga, and I love Blind Faith, and I listened to In the Presence of the Lord again, I thought, holy crap, these guys were there. And it was remarkable to me. And,
yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Yeah. Well, I've read some of Ram Dass. I haven't read all of Ram Dass Here and Now, but I've read some of it, and it did sound very interesting. But I've always been, because I'm a control freak, I've never done anything that would affect my mind because it would freak me out too much. But it's interesting to hypothesize about it. Okay, I'll go back to Patanjali and Sutra 2. Book 4, Sutra 2 is the transformation of one species into another is brought about by the inflow of nature. And that, when I read it last night, didn't make any sense. I read it like 3 times. The transformation of one species into another is brought about by the inflow of nature, with a capital N, nature. But still, I didn't really understand. There is a little bit of commentary from Carreras. The force of evolution is innate to all beings and objects. It is the nature of Prakriti to reveal latent potentialities from birth to rebirth. The embryo to fetus, to birth, to maturation, old age, death, and then rebirth. Since jati, translated as species, also means birth, this sutra also refers to the gradual process of evolution that takes place from birth to birth for an individual. So not that kind of eliminated it anymore, but I know it's talking about reincarnation and I guess the natural flow of moving from one birth to another, whether that's one species to another, I guess would depend on individual souls, but one birth, just talking about the process of reincarnation, which I don't know how I feel about. I think it makes perfect sense, but I don't know if I truly, it's what I believe happens when you die. I don't know.
I agree with you, Jackie. Like, I'm not sure if I want to admit that I believe it yet, but
right.
I feel like no
I
facts.
feel like what makes the most sense to me of all the things I've learned from different religions.
Yeah.
But I'm not convinced that I want to lay my hat on that and say that's what I think is going to happen.
I think that's fair. And I actually like when that stuff happens to me, because then it's not like because I'm so rigid in other areas where I'm like, I could go either way on this topic. So I'll just let it be.
Just let it be, because really we can't do anything about it anyway. And the point,
like, does it really, so I guess like it doesn't really matter if I believe in it or not. But what I say is, like, I do the work because what if it is true? Like, I want to come back. Like, I'm not going to fight it. Because,
right.
And I'll do the work as if it is true. But like, I don't get in arguments with Eric about it because I don't really, it's not my, like, I'm not going to convince other people if it's true or not, if I don't even believe it's true. And like,
right.
Or, you know.
Right. And I feel like if you're trying to be the best person you can be, if you're trying to do the best with the tools you have, it doesn't really matter what's going to happen after you die, because you don't have control over it anyway. You're going to just do the best with what you have right now and move on. So I think reading through this and doing the yoga work that we're doing is just helping us to do the best with what we have. So you're on mute, Pam.
I'm just on a mission for next life to pick better parents. So this is like my biggest goal, because that was like the most traumatizing thing Amanda told me in teacher training. So this is just where I am.
I think that's really interesting. And I said it to my mom recently. And Mom and I have a long, but she's still in Scotland. We have long Skype conversations. And, you know, we'll be talking for a couple of hours usually. And one of the things I said, well, according to the yogis, you choose your parents. And she was like, what? Like that blew her mind. She was like, what?
Yeah.
It's always like people say, well, you don't pick your family, you know. Well,
but you do.
You do.
And I did argue that, but now I get it. Now it's like, it's like how I feel about this. I'm like, I could see why I picked these people, but I'm going to do better next time because now I got the tools.
Right.
But then Amanda scared me because she said something about, I don't know if you guys remember, like she talked about like your soul circle and how people wait for you. And I'm like, please don't wait for me. I'm doing all the healing work for you so you can move on. I want to join a different circle.
Right.
So that's why I'll keep going with book 4.
Yes.
Even if it doesn't make sense, I'll still finish. It's funny.
Yeah, well, a lot of book 3 didn't make sense to me, but it was okay. It was okay to still listen and think about it, and
yeah,
and you know, like.
But I would have to say a lot of book 1 probably didn't make sense to me the first time I read it, around when I read it by myself when I didn't even know what anything was.
Yes. And I'm sure if we went back and started at the beginning again when we finish, now it would change again. So
yeah.
I'm going to go on and read 3 because it's kind of tied to the same thing.
Okay.
3, Sutra 3 from book 4 is: incidental events do not directly cause natural evolution. They just remove the obstacle, as a farmer removes obstacles in the water course running to the field. So here Patanjali gives a nice example of how a farmer allows the water to run into the field simply by removing the obstacles in the water course. Your mind also wants to run to its original source of tranquility, but there are impediments on the way that obstruct the flow. Your practices and your teacher do the job of an agriculturalist. The guru is not really bringing you anything new. Instead, he or she is simply removing the obstacles so that the flow of consciousness will be continuous and the water can reach its source. Water is already running in the canal. The cultivator simply goes looking for some obstacles and takes them out. Once the cultivator removes them, he or she doesn't need to tell the water it can flow. It is like the sun outside. It is always there, ready to come into your house. The obstacles are the closed door and windows. If you simply open them, the light shines in. I thought that was lovely.
I agree.
That does make sense to me, and it's really lovely that really what we're working on is just noticing what our obstacles are and working on removing them. And the rest will happen on its own. The beauty will happen on its own. Carrera says pretty much the same thing. And I thought it was really nice. It was a nice way to think about it. Carrera says, within the sinner, the saint waits to manifest. I love that. Within the sinner, the saint waits to manifest. The heart of the Buddha lies within everyone. Our nature is divine. Nothing needs to be added to reach enlightenment. It's amazing. Instead, all our effort is focused on removing the obstacles that have been barring the expression of our divinity. The latent qualities, the potentialities of every object in Prakriti naturally express when obstacles are removed. Evolution, then, is a manifestation of the inherent nature of every object and being. Natural selection and survival of the fittest, the theory that competition is the prime mover of evolution, provide an incomplete understanding of the cause of evolution. If competition for food, shelter, and reproduction ceased, evolution would still continue due to other influences. The sun, rain, and soil help the seed unfold its hidden nature as a flower. Likewise, our interactions with others, good or bad, help bring out our strengths and weaknesses. Every climactic, political, spiritual, astronomical, biological, artistic, and commercial event is an incidental event and occurrence that can remove obstacles to evolution. The topic of evolution continues over the next 3 sutras with a discussion on the development of individual consciousness. So I really liked this sutra. I really thought that it explains so much of the work that we're trying to do just in yoga, that we do every time we come to the mat, or every time we meditate, or every time we try to use the 4 locks and the keys in our everyday life. That's what we're doing. We're trying to notice the obstacles. That's the first thing. We have to notice what our own obstacles are so that we can remove them. And if we remove them, and you can almost feel it when you work on something, like Pam, you were saying last week, a couple of weeks ago, you had used the 4 locks, you had used your yoga so purposefully, so intentionally, and you felt the lightness that it caused. So that's what I'm imagining. You're removing an obstacle, you're noticing an obstacle, you're removing that obstacle, you're working through it, and you can feel the flow of the water. You can feel the flow of what's good and what should happening.
Yeah,
You know?
I think what you just said is like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so true. Like that whole thing.
I had an experience a couple of weeks ago. I've been having some gastrointestinal problems, which are too gross to go into, but you know, they were the result of, you know, we were doing our kitchen, so there was a lot of food coming in from outside. I have a sensitive GI thing going on anyways because of some medication, and plus it was so damn hot, you know, and all of that just added to nasty stuff. And a friend of mine is a yoga teacher, and I was seeing her for some privates, and so I told her this was going on. She said, okay, and she did a session with me, which was focused on working through that. And at the end of it, I had this feeling that instead of me fighting my body and trying to beat this thing, whatever that means, I was working with it and taking care of it. And it was sort of like what you were just talking about.
Right.
And it was such a wonderful feeling. It was really terrific.
Yeah. Yeah, I really think that this says it all, really.
Yeah.
Really,
it's a good sutra.
It's a good one.
And it's accessible.
It was accessible, and it's uplifting. It gives me a reason it's the reason that we do the work. It's the reason that we do the work, and we do have those moments when we're doing following this and following the path, moving along on the path. We have those moments of realization that, like you just had, like, whoa, that's why I'm doing this. This works. This really works.
I like that, removing the obstacles and letting the sunshine in as well. You know, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Letting the water flow and letting the sunshine in.
And just releasing, kind of washing away those things that we need to wash away. It's just a lovely analogy. Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. I think, Pam, it's 8:08. No, Pam,
Okay.
I just got in my car, so I just finished listening to you guys, and then I'll disconnect when you start breath.
Okay.
which I guess will be soon.
It will be soon. Do you have anything you wanted to add?
Nope, I'm all set. But
Okay.
this was a nice chat.
It was.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I'll have something to think about. I'll meditate while I'm driving.
So
By meditate, I mean I'll try to stay present.
stay present. Yeah, Pam is when I'm recording. You stop the recording after meditation.
Yeah, I let it run through, and after I say namaste and we close out, sometimes I don't even end it. I just hit leave meeting and it closes it out.
Okay.
All right, well, have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
They're going to enjoy the beach. It's a perfect day to be in the water today.
Yeah, it'll be nice and hot. All right, bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Have you ever talked to Susan? Have you ever talked to Amanda about your stomach?
No, and it's funny you bring it up because I was thinking of, I've done her Ayurvedic cleanse a couple of times, and I was thinking of talking with her specifically about this, of doing a consult.
Yeah.
And I should call and make a consult appointment.
Yeah, because just from my own personal experience with the stomach problems that I had for years, that doctors could not tell me why I was having them. And rather than go on medicine for it, I saw Amanda and she changed my diet. And if I stick to what she says, which I don't always,
Yes, yeah.
but if I stick to what I should eat, I don't have problems. And I know now, I mean, I can skip, I can cheat, I guess you call it. I can cheat and eat other things and be okay for a few days. But if I continued that way, it would all come back probably. But I can tell when I've eaten something that doesn't really, I just notice my body better. So I know what works well. And when I'm having certain kind of issues, I know what I can eat or drink to help myself. Or practice. Sometimes it's, I need to go do the story. Or I need to really work. I really, really need to push myself and do something. I kind of know better now how yoga and the whole Ayurvedic lifestyle can kind of fix things for me.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because there's no question that, to some degree you are what you eat. And so what you're saying is absolutely true. And once you know what works with your body, and so I will speak with her, because I think it's a good thing to do. I have to go see a regular doctor just for an annual checkup anyway. And I am so fearful that if I tell her about this, she's going to say, well, go have a colonoscopy. And it's sort of like, no, I just had a colonoscopy. And I don't think that's it. I think it has to do with where my head was at, the heat, the medication, and the chaotic upheaval on top of corona of the kitchen,
Yes.
So, but in the end, it's my decision whether or not I go for it anyway. But it's funny, in the past week when I could start cooking again, I started making more Ayurvedic choices. And my husband loves it, which works for me.
That's great.
And I am getting better.
Good.
And I just realized I have to move along slowly. But yes, the suggestion to see Amanda is a good one. And I had thought of it, and I will do it.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's quite a woman. She's so knowledgeable.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Okay, we will do some breath work.
Yep.
Into our meditation.
Yep.
We'll begin with some, if you're interested, with some bellows breath, which I was doing this weekend, and it helped me to kind of center. because I do have to concentrate so much to be able to do it. So the bellows breath is an even inhale and an even exhale, like a bellows. So you're pumping the belly. So inhaling, letting the belly rise fully, and exhaling, expelling all the air, pulling the belly in, and inhaling. So it's an even pushing in and out of the air. And some people do it very fast, but I don't, because if I do it very fast, I don't release enough. I stay a bit too tense, and so I do it pretty slowly. But you can choose how to do it yourself. So doing it for about 30 seconds and then stopping is good. Would you want to try?
Yeah, I've done it, but I've done it the rapid way, but I'd like to try it the slow way. Yeah.
Right. So just finding a comfortable place to sit and a tall spine, and kind of releasing the tension in your thighs and releasing the tension in your shoulders. Taking a full breath in through the nose and a full breath out. I'm sighing it out just to kind of let myself relax. Inhaling and letting it go. And then taking a breath halfway and beginning. Full exhale, doing a regular breath in and a regular breath out. And then trying one more round. Starting. Full breath in, full breath out. And then we'll move into alternate nostril breathing, using the right hand, the right thumb to close off the right nostril, the left, and the right ring finger to close off the left. Inhaling through the left. Closing both. Exhaling right. Inhaling right. Close both. Exhale left. That's one full round. Inhale. Close both. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close both. Exhale left. Inhale left. Close both. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close both. Exhale left. Continuing like that on your own, at your own pace. Doing as many rounds as you feel you need to center and to focus, and then moving into your meditation. I'll set the 20-minute timer and bring us back when the 20 minutes is over. Gently bringing your hands to your heart center, coming back to the room. Namaste.
I will see you tomorrow.
Yes. Have a lovely day.
Yeah, you too. And